Welcome to episode 289 of Crank the Third. This is the last episode for 2024. It's going to be a very short one. I just wanted to welcome you as a listener. Just quickly recap the episodes we've done in season 9. I'm going to be taking a quick break, but it'd be great if some of these episodes you haven't caught up with, that you do. And obviously, if you haven't caught up with all the episodes before that, remember this podcast used to be called Reputation Revolution, all about professional personal branding and building a really strong and thought leadership positioning in the marketplace. And then we moved on towards more about the monetization of your professional personal brand. But because a lot of my listeners I knew were people who'd been around the block a bit, and you'd had about 3+ decades in the trenches, in the professional trenches, whether running your own business for a chunk of that, or you're employed as a corporate person. But either or, the goal here was to really dig in a little bit more, because I wanted to expand on some of the topics we were talking about, because I had some great guests, and exploring, the key was to explore the entrepreneurial and creative side of life post 50. So the relaunch was episode 284, and by relaunch, that's when we started calling it Crank the Third. So it was Reputation Revolution. That may have been what was in your Apple playlist or your, if you listen on Spotify, but now it should be 100% Crank the Third, and it's a similar but different podcast. So the key here was Crank the Third. It's a show for motivated individuals who are around probably the 50 mark, if I have to put an age group on it. And those have been, as I said, in the trenches for, some 30 plus years. And the goal was to inspire, energize, you, a forward-thinking 50-something, to continue to think expansively and creatively about your current situation, and to ponder, plot and plan the exciting road you have ahead of them, because there's never been so many fantastic opportunities. Yes, there are challenges. There are always challenges galore, particularly in this AI-dominated world. But, we've got at our age and the time we've spent in the trenches, we've got the experience, the skills, the expertise, the wisdom, and more importantly, the network and connections to be able to really, whatever project we undertake, however we want to run our business, run our life, integrate business and our work life together. We're seeing a lot more of that. So keep that in the back of your mind. So as I go through some of these episodes, and again, I just want to highlight some of the fantastic people we've had on. So first cab off the rank in episode 285 was Stanley Johnson, and that was entitled Curiosity, Pop Culture and Staying Relevant as an Over 50 Professional. And this was a terrific talk with Stanley. He's a creative director and self-confessed corporate troublemaker. And he joined me on the podcast to chat all things about curiosity, networking, the impact of pop culture and social media on maintaining relevance as you get a little bit older in the business game. So it was a broad spread of conversation, and Stanley's done a lot. He's really a relevant guy. I don't actually know how old he is. I think he's probably in his mid-60s. Hope that's right, Stanley, if you're listening to this. And he's probably more relevant and vital today than a lot of people in his industry, which is advertising. So we look at his story, and we came from humble beginnings, but we soon got into the evolution of advertising and digital media, and he discussed the importance of writing and social media for honing communication skills. Really important for all time. It's not something that stops. In fact, as you get older, you want to stay relevant, and digital is one way of doing that, and being able to stay creative and take some risks and that side of things. So that was terrific on episode 285. And then I sat down with Jackie Goddard in episode 286. And that was all around owning your voice, taking risks and putting yourself out there. It was terrific to to chat with Jackie. She's the founder of Power to Speak, and this is a coaching business focused on helping individuals, particularly authors and entrepreneurs, to communicate confidently and more effectively. Now, in the interview, Jackie emphasised the importance of owning one's story and voice and overcoming fears of public speaking, which is really important because there are people who hate public speaking. Doesn't matter how old you are, they still hate public speaking. And, Jackie really believes in the transformative power of storytelling. So through her experiences, Jackie illustrates how vulnerability and authenticity can enhance connection and engagement in both personal and professional realms. And she also highlighted, and I think this is really important, the value of experimentation and risk-taking and continuous learning in terms of building a successful business off the back of your personal brand. And Jackie also, she embraces change, and she's done a lot in the last 4 years in terms of setting up her own business and creating content and doing live streams. And so she talks all about that. And really it's about stepping outside of your comfort zone, trying new things and adapting to changing circumstances, which is really important if we want to stay relevant and to continue to compete in the marketplace. Again, running our own business and building that business, or keeping it on an even keel so we've got a better lifestyle balance, or maybe running our business from the other side of the world, which of course a lot of people are doing. Episode 287, this was a crackerjack interview, high velocity I've described it as, and I've titled it, It's Never Too Late to Get Out of Your Comfort Zone and Take Charge of Your Life. And with me in the virtual studio was Richard Sauerman. This was full on. I think the thing with Richard is that he loves talking about a 10 out of 10 life, and I asked him what a 10 out of 10 life meant. And, I wanted him on the show to deliver a kick in the pants, and he certainly delivered it. Richard's known as the brand guy. He's a thinker and a humanist with a massive interest in people and the human condition. He's written a couple of books and appears in the media on brand-related issues. So while Richard has done a lot of brand planning and communication stuff for, I think he said, over 200 brands in his career. So he's probably best known, he's known for a lot in the industry for a lot of his branding work, but he's probably best known these days as a high voltage motivational speaker and a reality TV contestant. We do get into that. But some of the things I discussed with Richard, or he chats about, overcoming fears of mediocrity and societal pressures. He urged listeners to challenge limiting beliefs and embrace risks for growth. He emphasised authenticity, particularly for those over 50, how important it is. And for some people, it's actually quite hard when you've had that suit of armour on in your business and corporate life, and now, to effectively communicate and connect with your audience and your network more effectively, you do need to peel off the layers of that and not have that armour on you. He explored the link between happiness and service to others and drew on some research in positive psychology. I think the other thing that I really liked, that he addressed the challenge of forming connections, particularly in workplace settings, and how small gestures can improve relationships. So a lot of the small things he was very much an advocate for, and being kind to people. And just finally, Richard was the oldest contestant on TV's Married at First Sight. Now, I think this show is available around the world. He was on the Australian version, and he reflected on his experience of being on the show, like he didn't hold back on anything, and the personal growth that came from it, particularly post being on the show, and how at age 63 he was diagnosed with ADHD. So he goes in a little bit about the effect that's had on his life. So I'll just give you a quote, just an example of what Richard's like in action. So if you're waiting for someday or one day to be a 10 out of 10, you might not get the chance. Boom, straight away. Stop trying to be right, just choose to be happy. Great chat with Richard Sauerman. And then I followed that up with episode 288, What Successful Professional Reinvention Looks Like in Practice. This is a ripper, in-depth interview with Valerie Khoo. Now, I started it off talking about if you looked up the word eclectic in the dictionary, there will be a picture of Valerie Khoo in there. I'm being a little facetious, but Valerie has successfully navigated careers in, get this, accounting, PR, journalism, public speaking, entrepreneurship, and the visual arts. She's a published author and the founder of the Australian Writers Centre, which has trained over 100,000 students worldwide since she opened the doors of the business in 2005. Valerie also hosts the popular podcast So You Want to Be a Writer, which has had over 3 million downloads. And if that was not enough, she was for several years the curator of Sydney's Lunar Festival, which is one of the city's major arts and cultural events. So that is a widespread eclectic career, portfolio career. But the thing that really got me now is because she's, been the writer, or still is a writer. She's a writer and runs the Writers Centre, so fully blown entrepreneur, and gets out and speak and does all that. But now she is a visual artist. Like, this is not just a sideline hobby. This is 50% of her working week is as an artist, and she's very prolific, and she's selling works of art around the world. And it was quite an unexpected turn when she did pick up a paintbrush and discovered a passion for visual art. So if you're keen to better understand what it takes to reinvent yourself professionally, perhaps you're keen to get out of corporate and do something new, or take on a different project outside of the business you run, if building a portfolio career is on your radar, you will love this conversation. It's an inspiring chat. I don't hold back on that. She's just an inspiring person, Valerie. Done a lot, continues to do a lot, and is an inspiration for many people. So there you have it. This is episode 289. It's the last episode for 2024. I'll take a couple of weeks off. I'll be kicking off early in January 2025. I've got a terrific interview. I recorded it today, actually, with Graham Wright, and he's a technology PR consultant, but that's not really what we talk about. After, decades of working for in the corporate world, with a major global PR and communications agency, Graham was, they were downsized. He was tapped on the shoulder, got the pink slip, and at the age of 53, made the choice, or decided to, start his own business. Now, that's quite late in life for a lot of people, and I really wanted to dig in, and I did dig into his story about what he was feeling at the time and the lessons he learned, and what's life like now. And it's an inspiring talk too, because there's maybe a few of you who, whether you make the jump from corporate after having a paycheck for 20, 30 years, or you're, bundled out the door due to a downsizing of the business and made redundant, setting up a business and how quickly you can do it today, but there's still a lot to learn about it. But for me, there's never been a better time to start a business off the back of your personal brand, your professional reputation, the knowledge, the smarts, the connections, the wisdom that you do have. So keep an ear out for that one. That will be out in the new year. So thanks for tuning into Crank the Third, where we explore the entrepreneurial and creative side of life post 50. Got a lot of great interviews lined up for next year, 2025, and I'll hopefully be in your ears pretty soon enough. Cheers.